One, I want to say thank you very much for the cooperative and immensely helpful efforts by DEC during the flooding last spring, summer, fall of Lake Ontario, because so many people were needing immediate help. And I know your permitting process, you did probably 10 times as many as you would normally do in a season, and so thank you for that. I think once we've gotten beyond that flood stage, though, I would say that we're slower to respond, and obviously you moving more to your normal process of looking at things. But I do have the concern that we are about where we were a year ago, and there are people trying to do some resiliency projects, but we're not getting fast enough the approvals from DEC. So some to comments perhaps that Senator O'Meara talked in a general sense, but clearly we're seeing that now as a possibility for this coming year again. And so just that concern of responding to those.
Well, we certainly learned a great deal last year about our capabilities. I think we issued something like 3,000 or 4,000 permits within 48 hours of receipt, which is an extraordinary undertaking. We shifted many of our permitting folks from other regions. We actually surged them into lakeshore areas. We had opened up some permitting offices. We were, literally right at the lakeshore, proximate to people's homes. So we learned quite a bit about our capabilities, our ability to turn around permits quickly. Again, 3,000 or 4,000. I don't have the exact number offhand. 3,000 or 4,000 permits that we got out there. And have begun to coordinate internally in preparation for the next summer, for the next potential event. I'm hoping that we're not going to see another return to last year, sure. But we'll be ready again to run those permits through. And I think if there are individual resiliency projects that aren't getting the attention they need in this interim period, people should just pick up the phone and call me, call us, and I'm eager to see those projects move forward as quickly as possible.
One of the things I know Senator Helming just talked about some with Plan 2014, obviously, that I guess one of the things that I would look at is one of the weaknesses of it, or what you just talked about, going to greater outflow, which is a positive. I applaud that and whatever. But my understanding is that's about 9 inches below a trigger level, which would normally say get going. And so that seems to be, in my sense, an inherent problem with the plan, is that the way the trigger levels have been done, it anticipates that there will, or expects there will be flooding, and doesn't anticipate the ability. And so I like what is being done. But again, my concern would be that the plan itself, if we aren't doing, your type of advocacy and others at this point, that the plan would allow us to be back to, or at least have the greater threat of the flooding that we.
Well, I tell you, the plan may need to be modified in certain ways. There may need to be greater safeguards for trigger levels. And I think that's a conversation that we would be willing to have. I've got Great Lakes staff who know this issue very well and are willing to get involved and address trigger levels. I agree with you. We're spending an enormous amount of time advocating for action now. NYPA is very aggressive on this as well. Governor's aggressive on it. We're all aggressive on it. But I think the ultimately it has to run itself. And after year one, let's see what year two brings us. If we're not seeing the right kinds of responses, then I think we're going to need to at least get some more flexibility from the federal government.
I'm sure you'll have some eager legislators from that area to work with you on that. Jumping actually to another point that's been brought up, the proposed incinerator in the Finger Lakes. You said that you haven't received it yet. When you get it, you'll give it your normal fair hearing. I know that the concern is, obviously, there's been a lot of opposition at the local level. The company, I believe, started out going the local route for approval, seeing that wasn't going to be likely moved to the Article 10 process. And, you know, the major concern, I know Article 10 allows some input, but decision-making is taken out of the hands of the local area. Just hope that, the local input will be taken extremely seriously, and I think others have laid out some of the concerns with that. I guess I just have a general comment. Do we know, since Article 10 became law, how many projects have been approved in the state?
I couldn't give you the exact statistic offhand. I mean, the first wind project is just getting through Article 10 right now. I'm not aware of another incinerator project that has come into Article 10. I'd have to get you statistics on that. Some of my successors today might be able to answer that more specifically, but it's probably a relatively low number.
Thank you, Commissioner.